play ball in those for?
It's only in your head you feel left out or looked down on. Just try your best, try everything you can, and don't you worry what they tell themselves when you're away. It just takes some.
And even then, even though we lived there for all these years, when the chips were down, so-called, in 1944, they were determined to get us out of Hungary, to deport us. Could they have saved us? Of course they could have. Was there a will to do it? No. So living in Czechoslovakia, in a wonderful democracy, a country just like Canada, there were 4 different ethnic groups that lived there. Bordering with Germany were the Sudeten German-speaking people. Bohemia and Moravia were the Czechs. In the center were the Slovaks, and the eastern part were the Magyars. And I happen to be an ethnic Hungarian. This is the language we spoke in my home. And I had to learn Slovak when I started school. I lived in a town of about 5,000 people. And my immediate family, we lived in a large house. In Europe, many extended families lived together. So there was a big L-shaped house. We lived in the front part, my parents, and I had 2 little brothers, and I had a little sister. In the center of this house were my grandparents and my aunt, and at the far end, my uncle and aunt. They had no children, and I was the firstborn child in this large house, and it was a big yard. My grandfather had a lumber yard, and we had a huge orchard. We were self-sufficient in any foods. We had chickens, geese, fruits, vegetables, you name it. I went to public school and I went to Hebrew school, and I had many friends, both Jewish and not Jewish. We played soccer together, we went to school together, and life was wonderful. I went to my grandmother's farm in Slovakia, over here. I lived over here. That was a trip by train, about 150 kilometers, and that is a large distance in a small countries in Europe. And I went to my grandmother's farm, my uncles, and I met my beautiful cousins every summer. And the last summer that I was there was in 1938, because my country, Czechoslovakia, came under the heel of Hitler. He demanded part of my country, the Sudeten part, and the democracies, Britain and France, they saw it fit to give him part of my country. Our president was not even asked to come to this crucial meeting, and my country was offered up on the altar of appeasement to a dictator without a single bullet being fired, simply by a stroke of a pen. And when the British Prime Minister arrived in London, he read this document, and he said, "Peace in our time." You know, this document wasn't worth the paper it was written on, because after this part was detached, German troops marched into Prague, and my country was cut into parts. This became the protectorate of the German Reich, and this became an autonomous country of Slovakia under a Roman Catholic priest, Dr. Tiso, who was a fascist, and we were given to Hungary. So imagine March the 15th, 1939, on my birthday, as it happened, Hungarian troops came marching into my town. And we had to greet them as our liberators. We spoke the same language. But you know, this changeover was a very traumatic experience for us Jews, because we knew that our life is going to change 180 degrees. Hungary was allied with Nazi Germany, and you probably know that Nazi Germany came out with all kinds of racial laws against Jewish people. They were called the Nuremberg racial laws, of what Jews can and cannot do. And Jews were stripped of their freedom of everything, freedom of movement, freedom of association, freedom to earn a living. These were the racial laws passed in Nazi Germany. German Jews lost their citizenship by 1935. So we knew that these laws, Hungary had them too. So They came in. My father had a distillery and a drinking place. It was called a pincek in Hungarian, or a cellar. And he had a big sign outside, "Welcome our Hungarian liberators, free drinks." You see, because now we had to play up to a new entity which we didn't know how we were going to exist under. I remember that in 2 days, the place was blank dry. And these, racial laws, these edicts were being posted in my town on a daily basis. My father had a crystal radio, which was a very cranky piece of equipment. You needed a very long antenna from top of the house to the lumber shed. And they were not allowed to have a radio. And an edict was posted, they are not allowed to have a bicycle. My father's business was confiscated because Jews cannot sell alcohol. And when I mean confiscated, it meant that he was not compensated. Simply a person from my town was put into his business. And all these other businesses were handled the same way. One day, an edict was posted that all able-bodied Jewish male men from 18 to 45 have to report to labor battalions in Hungary. So all the able-bodied men from my town, and you can multiply this by the thousands in Hungary, who were the breadwinners, they were gone. So the family was being decimated. When we wanted to go from one village to the next, we needed a permit. So you see how our freedom was gradually taken away. And I want you to think about freedom of movement, freedom of association. We had a nanny who came to work for us when I was born. She was my mother's right-hand person. We could not employ her after 1941. And I remember what went on in my house. This girl, her name was Anna, she was crying, she didn't want to leave, and the gendarmes had to remove her body. We couldn't sit on a bench with non-Jewish people. So all these freedoms are taken away from you. And once these freedoms are removed from you, it's like you remove oxygen from your lungs. It's very difficult to live, but we have no other choice. One day we had an edict came out that we had to wear a yellow star. My mother had to stitch on this star on my jacket, and I had to march up to school. I used to walk about 1.5 kilometers with all my friends. And that particular morning, there was nobody on the street. I sort of put 2 and 2 together, and I realized that nobody wants to walk with somebody who now has a yellow star on his chest. Arriving at school, there was a big fight. And by the way, in this town of 5,000 people, there were 90 Jewish families, about 400 souls. Jews were small storekeepers. Jews truly made this town work. Jews built, they brought civilization, and all these things that go with it to make a better life for everybody. So, wearing the yellow star and coming to school every day, and every day you are in a big fight in the morning, and the teachers are not much help. They made us sit in the back row of the classroom. We were segregated in the school. And when I was 12.5 years old, we were thrown out of school. And I was reading books at home. And my mother, in her wisdom, my mother now had to cope alone with 3 young kids. And she had this additional problem that my brother and my son, my older brother, we were home now because my youngest brother wasn't at school yet. She sent me away to the capital city of our province, and I became an apprentice working in a shop. An apprentice means that you learn a trade for 4 years. And I lived with some cousins. This was a big city. It had a streetcar. And I had to get up at 5:30 in the morning, go to work, clean and sweep. I learned many life skills. And I learned discipline that came in very handy later. I had an aunt, her name was Bella, She lived with my grandparents. She was an invalid. I think she must have had polio. And I remember since I was little, probably 5 years old, I was sitting on her lap and she kept reading books to me. And by the time I was 6, I was able to read a book from cover to cover. And I truly learned the love of books from my Aunt Bella. 1942, her body was deteriorating simply because of sitting all these years.